Welcome, friends, family, and other creatures of the sea, to some professional StarCraft 2 with the Protoss player in the blue, the captain. It's Harstem. Up against the headstrong Zerg, the Lord of the Lings. It's Dong, Ray, Gu. A best of 3 Protoss versus Zerg between Harstem's pragmatic Protoss style and DRG's marginally less pragmatic Zerg rushes. Either way, if you're looking forward to this Europe versus Korea showdown, or if you're looking for an excuse to distract yourself in the generic early game of Protoss versus Zerg, it'd be awesome if you could do so by smashing like, and if you haven't made it there yet, it'd be awesome if you could subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we? 1,341 likes on this video, on this cast, on this series, which may be very quick at this rate. And I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Both sides putting some damage on. Harstem demonstrating, always the educator, why we don't usually put a pylon in the wall at the front, as very simply, it is very vulnerable to Zerglings, and Banelings, and Roaches. But it means you can wall off more quickly, which is all well and good right up until you have to wall off twice because the Zerglings get through. DRG, I can't believe it. Oh my, what a shocker. He made some Zerglings, and he breaks through. Actually, it's quite a commitment to make Zerglings that early. Look at the worker count, 39 to 43. 3 drones were killed by the Oracles and the Adepts, of which he lost 3. But overall, DRG did commit a lot of early economy to these Zerglings. Has been manipulating the Oracles. The Adept just standing out there. Oh, no back to the minerals means the Zerglings easily surrounded. And now Harstem has to juggle the power banks on these Oracles in order to keep his third base alive. DRG droning up behind, starts a lair. I'm not the least bit... Wow, okay. So now we're just creating the Protoss foyer here. Come on in. Yeah, sure, you can come inside. No, sir, do you have a reservation? No. It's 2024, and we still have door guards, all right? Can't we just... Couldn't there be an app for this? Moving on. Charge and +1 on the way. No blink for Harstem. Instead, a more direct response with the charge lots, which leaves you a little bit more vulnerable to things like mutas. And, well, roaches en masse, but charge lots and +1 can definitely find a timing before Lair Tech comes online. Though DRG, well, he's never met a Lisk or a Ling that he didn't like, and mutas are on the menu once again. We'll see if Harstem is able to scout it in time. Now he's got that third base established. Phoenix on the way. An actual real-life Phoenix. He knows the weakness of this particular strategy. I think this is just a scouting Phoenix here, which should turn into more if he's able to see it. The Oracles, 1 taken out, but yeah, spots the Spire. And now DRG. Now we have to play the real poker game, which is, does he actually go mutas? DRG just gets the rest of the... Okay, that's a bit... It's a bit ham-fisted, if I will say so myself. A Hydralisk Den and an Infestation Pit behind this. He's just going to get the rest of the tech. Now, how much will Harstem defend? You can definitely... The best defense against mutas is a good offense. But a good defense also helps. But if you spend too much time sitting in your base, building cannons and phoenixes, and then they end up going straight to Hydra Lurker, it's not like Harstem's sitting back. He still has multiple Oracles. The fact that mutas don't show up by like the 8-minute mark is already going to be a bit of a giveaway here. DRG, you gotta build a hive, DRG. Come on. Okay, so DRG has he's actually allergic to hives. Fun fact, he gets hives from hives. Hives, if you would. That's the root of the problem here, but the amount of times I've seen DRG decide, I don't need a hive, I can just make Hydras and Lings and +2 for the next 20 minutes. And still most of the time, or much of the time, win. But it's, once again, it's 2024, not 2014. So you do have to tech up in a timely manner. DRG does some soul searching there and acknowledges it. I can't get over how hilarious this is. And either way, it doesn't matter. They're still getting in. Move over, Bob. What are you? No, not like that. Just get out of the way. Oh my God. Why did we bother with this? Why does anyone? Why did the captain decide to put a pylon in the wall? We're not here to question orders, Bob. Also, how are you? Stop whispering. We talk brain to brain or whatever it is. I don't know how it works. Force fields. We'll trap in a few unlucky roaches and hydras. A clutch of zealots headed north to drag back the roaches and hydras. It felt weird to say it again, but it's the same unit, so. Harstem, so far, despite some architectural difficulties, has, for the most part, when it comes to the big picture, maintained his trajectory of building up and defending. If you let DRG attack into you, that's probably your best bet, as DRG gets real antsy. For someone who's well over the age of 30 now, or actually I think he's like 31 or something like that, with 600 APM, he loves that aggressive Zerg style, and only barely restrained aggression so far. But there's a fleet beacon on the way. Harstem not bothering with trying to hit that ground timing before he has the ultimate tech behind it, as he goes for double Stargate and double Robo. With even more cannons at the natural, Harstem, his Fortress of Solitude mothership is on the way. Before the 10-minute mark, particularly early. Not a rush. Okay, we can't very technically call it a rush. But it's certainly pretty quick. Considering, oh, well, maybe not quick enough, though. That's a lot of lurkers. 13 lurkers. Storms start to soften things up. Testing the edges. Testing the waters, if you would, here on Oceanborn. DRG with another attack. Stasis wards keep it at bay. It looks like Harstem retreats with as many probes as he can. Ends up losing 11 of them. Not a particularly nice number. Drops back down to 69. 2 Tempests on the way. Gonna use the Tempest as a more direct response to the lurkers. A couple lurkers took the wrong path there. Force field locks them in. More lurkers going to attempt. There's actually very few hydras. Even the oracles are a threat. The charge lots are chasing down the roaches as they scamper back towards the north side. +2 attack is completed for Harstem Zealots. Only +1 ranged attack now completing for DRG, who's getting adrenal glands for his Zerg. I like how he has 0 Zerglings, and he's getting adrenal glands. Is the exact opposite of Shin, who will always get Hive and then forget adrenal glands. DRG, on the other hand, if he does get a Hive, even when he doesn't build Zerglings, you never know. Well, first Tempest wanders a little far forward, and the Hydras are able to knock it down. The Tempest will continue to moderately inconvenience the lurkers until they decide to move forward or back. The Storm's even hitting the probes here. Caught in the crossfire. Inclement weather is making things very difficult for anyone involved. But eventually, the Tempest count will grow. And without the Vipers here, Storm a bit off the mark. Without the Vipers, it gets harder and harder to deal with. But still enough Roach Hydra. DRG is maxed out with money in the bank. He's got a Greater Spire in production. Move it in. Storms, pre-splits against the Storms. But an entire vanguard of Immortals. 10 Immortals. Mech Protoss from Harstem. Storms being thrown out there just to see if he can maybe catch it. Where did this mothership come from? Comes in from the south side. What a weird angle. I don't know if it was headed off to maybe recall on the other side of the map or just lost track of things, but damn, that's a lot of Immortals. Pounding the point home. There's 4 Tempests to surgically siege from long range. Charge lots. A lot of them bruised from earlier, but now cleaned up. Harstem adding more Tempests, more Immortals. He's still caught on 3 bases. He needs more bases as time goes on, otherwise things get more and more difficult. Sorry, Jimmy, can we stop zooming in and out 14 times? This isn't a Michael Bay film. Hydra is trying to come in towards the natural, but the foyer is held by the Templar. The rest of this very technical Protoss army. Immortals with all the technicality of 2 sledgehammers. But between the Tempest and the Templar, this position is pretty temporary for DRG, as there's just not an answer. Even adding in some Void Race, possibly to deal with the impending Corruptors. He has to get Corruptors eventually. So Harstem giving himself some options against it. The Void Race, the best of a pretty mediocre set of options in the air against Corruptors. Picks off some more. The Lurker's having a tough time getting caught between a rock and a hard place yet again. But coming around towards the 4th. And the Phoenixes, which were held in reserve, yanks in a couple Tempest knocks them down with the Hydras. And the Phoenix is knocked out by the Corruptors. Lurker's moving in towards the 4th. It looks like DRG just gonna stiff arm his way here. He doesn't care how many units he loses, as long as his opponent can't replace too many of them. And if he continues losing so much economy and getting denied this base, well, that's certainly going to come true. Harstem has the incredible army here, but he can't seem to pick a fight. DRG has 5 bases, going on 6. Harstem still on 3. His attempts to get a 4th shut down yet again. But Void Ray Immortal is the composition, as he leans more and more into the legacy of the Voids. A 2nd Spire for DRG, for double upgrades. And now, the Broods. He's made at least one of those spires great again, and chitinous plating on the Ultralisk Cavern. DRG, is there any tech he doesn't have? I guess his upgrades are pretty terrible. He has just +1 melee and +2 ranged attack, which, not much in the grand scheme of things. He's working on flyer attack, working on Carapace. Harstem has +3 ground attack and +1 shields, as well as +1 air weapons. And those Protoss units are already pretty good, even before the upgrades. Zerg, in order to be efficient enough to continue trading, really needs them. Well, not so much against the Templar, but against anything but. Alright, the Vipers, they're revelated. Changeling taken out by the water balloons. I think a Changeling can actually survive a Templar hit, because it doesn't do quite enough damage. It's like 4 damage. And it has 5 HP, technically. Or it might not be true. It might just be the first attack. Meanwhile, Hydra's trading. DRG resigning himself. Well, he knows. Harstem's just now taken a 4th. The main base is dried up. The gas is completely mined out. Even the 3rd. Harstem's down to like less than 1 base total of mineral patches. He gets tectonic destabilizers into production. That Tempest building damage. I don't know why I struggled so much with that one. And in this exact scenario, with a Sporchard on the high ground and a Sporist on the low, DRG scrambling his spores into position, but the Hydras eat the brunt of the storm. And now, a great revelation. Uses active cloaking. The spores will provide detection. The Broodlord wandering into the storm. The Queens they have to patch everything up. But Harstem, a slow siege. But so far, DRG not really making any headway dealing with this. The Queens taking a lot of damage. Tempest continue shelling. What's the number now? 8 of them. I'm not sure if that's quite enough to one-shot. I think that one-shot's a Broodlord. And then some. Well, Immortal Barrier's triggered. Actually just moving in, but the Lurker's underneath. You gotta be careful with the Templar. He is being very careful with the Templar. Continually bringing him back. The Revelation pretty much required. Ooh, almost loses the Immortal there. But Harstem just chewing up the map here, as DRG's bank has evaporated. How much is his army worth? A comparable cost, but way more minerals for Harstem. Picks off another Broodlord. And a Viper. DRG, Time Warp used. In the center. The Tempest easily just sniping off another one. Feedbacks across the board. 4 for 4. And now the Tempest, he's fighting heads up. He's confident he can get the Templar close enough. And I think he's right about it. Without any Viper energy for Parasitic Bomb, without any Infestor energy for Fungal, and with Corruptors being a sad, sad comparison to the range of the Tempest, DRG is bleeding out one massive ball of energy at a time. The Queen's getting sniped off, trying more Broodlords, though to what end, I'm not sure. He needs to get rid of the Templar. If he can kill the Templar even once, he can wipe the army. But without the storms, this army crumbles. The more conventional units, Immortal, Tempest, well, pretty much everything but Templar. But Harstem, he's played Max Packs. All right, he's played Showtime. Well, I'm sorry, those are, I don't know why I'm going with Protoss. He's played Cyril. He's played Raynor. He's played Lambo. All Zergs, especially Cyril, of course, who, will drag you to this late game and force you to get good at it or die trying. So the European Protoss versus Zerg, I think we're really seeing a disparity here, as DRG is lost right now, both in ideas, and if this continues the game, he had 6 bases to 3, but he never made any progress. He has a single lurker, but this base is mined out. Harstem snipes off another Viper. DRG spends his last drops of gas on dealing with it. The Immortals almost kill out the base, but Harstem's working on a 5th. This has been a methodical. He just kept the army together. There's a Fungal. Are there even enough Corruptors left? The storms come through, though. Force the Corruptors back in the moment of weakness. Lights up the Void Rays. And GG from DRG as Harstem with a decisive victory. A beautifully executed surgical death ball. All right? That death ball went to school for 8 years to figure out how to dismantle a Zerg like that. In fact, maybe longer. It's been 14 years of StarCraft, too. But DRG just... he peaked in the lair tech. And Harstem just easily dismantling him from there. It really looked like he might get run over, but Harstem clearly had a plan for how that game could end. And as long as he survived long enough, he could get there. Whereas DRG was trying to end it before Harstem's plan came to fruition, which means we're going into game number 2 with the captain at a 1-0 lead. Unable to block the Natchery. Not sure it was attempted, but... quite a solid execution. Like, that was just... DRG put him on the back foot, but he never knocked him over. DRG, like, nothing says, I'm not sure what I want to do, so I'll just, like, you can't just get a Spire and an Infestation Pit and a Hydra Den and go to Hive, but also fight with Hydra Lurker. Like, this isn't the Platinum League. Well, you can do that, but then you have to have a plan for if they survive it. I think what was missing from DRG as well is a Nidus, potentially, to get the Lurkers maybe into the main. It feels like you shouldn't have to kill a Protoss. That's on 3 base when you're on 6. But Harstem, as soon as he got the Templar and the Tempest together, they become way less temporary. God, I don't know. We should have checked the units lost. I'm not sure if he lost a single Templar. I mean, especially as a Templar. If you lose Archons, that means you still got extra value out of the Templar as well. So, another option that DRG was actually thinking about was the Ultralisks, which clearly are not a great answer to 10 Immortals. and a bunch of Tempests. But as a counterattack option. Still, the thing is, Harstem was only defending one base at a time. It's really rough. Like, when we get past... Okay, so there's Cyril, and then we're going to drop... And then there's Dark, and then we look much further down, and then there's everyone else. Especially in this matchup, it feels. As DRG, currently, I believe, the 6th ranked, or 5th? No, 6th ranked Zerg in the world. But Harstem, more than capable. And again, we see a similar opener, the Triumvirate of Oracles. I wouldn't be surprised to see that in any amount of games in a series. In this, it's gonna be Blink. Is there a Forge? Ah, Blink pressure timing. No Forge yet. So, looking to warp in enough Stalkers to actually go across the map and keep control of the creep. Maybe kill some Queens. Alright. I think, if you get lucky. Or hit a sharp enough timing, even. Blink being chrono boosted out. That Adept barely blocks out. The Stalker count is scouted by a single Zergling. Harstem knows now. There's nothing to be done about it. Oracle's looking for some more drones. Yeah, still no follow-up tech behind. Just warping and Stalkers on cooldown. Quite costly. 22 Zerglings for DRG. Worker count actually even a little ahead for Harstem, who's going to be using this for full map control. And then teching up behind. But still building probes is the key part of this. Going to have a full 3-base economy while DRG has essentially cut his drone production in order to try to crush this attack. He's already got enough Zerglings for the counter. Into the third, but Adepts with a shield battery going to blunt the effect. Stalkers trying to come forward. A few more Zerglings come out. Down goes an Overlord. DRG not supply block because those Zerglings are getting cleaned up. Brenda, run! Oh my god! Oh, that was just Susan. It's okay. She always goes in front. Okay. Was that a red shirt she was wearing? Like, we're all wearing red shirts. Oh my god, Karen. I know. Sorry. The Stalker's trading. Harstem keeps his probe count up. Loses minimal stock. He's lost 2 Stalkers for 20 Zerglings, 7 drones. Not all at the same time, but the losses are adding up. He still has the Oracles to protect the retreat of the Stalkers. Gets too far off the creep and the Zerglings can get burned out by the Oracles. Though he's running the risk of overstaying his welcome. It's about time to slap your knees and say, well, it's about time to get going. But I don't think Harstem's at Thanksgiving dinner right now. But, and it'd be weird if he was, to be honest, considering all of the context of that statement. Not the least of which that Protoss don't have mouths. DRG again with the one of everything build. Now, getting the Lurker Den well before the infestation bit, just rushing Lurkers on lair tech, which we usually don't see too much of as they're just not good enough, is the summary. You might get a surprise attack in, but they don't have the range in order to compete with the Protoss army. And that is why rarely do we see Lurkers invested in before that Hive tech. Yes, they're essentially just a cheese at that stage. Harstem doing a good job of scouting, but not so good that he sees everything but all the tech in the main. There's the Hive on the way. Harstem at 70 probes, building up his 4th. And the Oracle's just coming in from both sides. I think Harstem much more comfortable so far in this game. As DRG scrambling together. Oh. Hydras, Roaches. He's trying to get to Hive. But Harstem's going to be maxing out at like about the same time. With Immortals, with Storm, building a second Robo now. Zerglings sprinting. Well, they always are sprinting. That's kind of what they do. The charge lots as well. Hydra spotted. Harstem putting some defenses up. Cannons. At the 4th base. Oh, the Zealots even onto the drone up to the north side. And so, I'm looking at this like, what does DRG have this game that he didn't in the last one? Like, the timing is a little quicker on the Hydra Lurker, but Harstem has a comfortable 4 bases. He should be able to defend. There isn't the fleet beacon, nice spot on the stasis. But he has the gateway count at 9. He has the robo count at 2. He has stasis in front. Here come the lurkers. Range 2/3 of the way done. The zealots cut through. I don't think he even canceled the base. The lurkers are looking for an opportunity, but until they get even DRG, he might have the lurker down, but he's kind of waiting until the range finishes. But Harstem's not letting him get any closer. He's making him regret the choice to engage. The storms are good, warding him away. The lurker's not quite in range of the base itself yet. Starting to chew through the cannons. The zealots are warped in. Harstem with charge lots into the main, charge lots into the 4th. Looking for a flank, but the lurkers still entrenched. Immortals on the low ground. So many immortals from Harstem. Wow. Zealots chopping through. Mothership is on the way. The first choice here. Splits the Immortals in order to break forward. But he doesn't have Revelation on everything. Another Revelation comes through. He blasts apart an Immortal. Covers his retreat with the Storm. Still a couple more as he comes up the ramp. Storm should be off cooldown again. He has a couple more. The Roach Hydra is actually overwhelming the Immortal count. But the Storms are devastating. Category 5. I think DRG was doing okay, but right at the end, 16 storms cast in that engagement. As Harstem comes out ahead significantly, killing about 1,000 more gas, 1,000 more minerals. Not as decisive as I thought it might be going into that fight. But DRG loses all of his lurkers, and he doesn't have an economic advantage. So he's reliant on better positioning in order to take a good fight. Because his units are simply not... Well, he doesn't have an advantage in the units. The Storms and the Immortals do more than enough. The Immortals on the back line. Archons now. Gotta be a little careful with Archons, as they really like to get up close and personal, for better or worse. They just don't have the range. The Storms just jukey and jiving back and forth. The Lurker spread. Can't believe it's not butter. Beautifully done. DRG has managed to stagger his lurkers into range. Harstem, his zealots, finding a few drone kills, but now 15 probes dead. DRG tenaciously moving forward. And now Harstem decides to come in from another angle, and I think that's going to be more than enough to clean this up, but too late for the base and a whole bunch of probes. So suddenly, well, both sides battered down to 140 supply. Not easily able to replace it either. Harstem once again on 3 bases. Has a support mothership there. The Phoenix. Hey guys, this is right here. This is the guy. Yeah. Nope. Almost. So close. Got him. 10 Hydras on the way. 4 lurkers. Replacing as well. So again, Harstem is pinned back to a single base that he really needs to protect. Otherwise, he's lost all of his economy. But he's taking good trades thus far. He's lost half the gas DRG has, 2,700 to 5,400. DRG has no Vipers in sight, in production or on the field. Reliant entirely on the Hydras and the Lurkers. Mothership, the support piece. He doesn't have any Overseers with this army. That means no detection. That means active cloaking could easily ruin the fight for DRG. There's some Overseers now. +3 done on the ground. Just +2 ranged attack. +3 and +1 shields for Harstem. Just +2 ranged attack for DRG. 79 workers, though, to 65. As DRG dunks down. Good revelation. Knocks out the Oracle. Slicing through the rocks. Harstem has a larger army supply. He has the mothership. This is a lot of lurkers and a lot of Roach Hydra. Again, DRG looking to force the issue. Harstem nearly max, though. Almost no reason to really sit back if he thinks he can find a fight. Gonna go for it on the ramp. Hits the time warp. The lurkers are trying to escape, scampering slowly away. The storms washing across the Hydras. And there's more where that came from. A whole clutch of charge lots is coming in. Harstem trying to chase it down. The charge lots got a little distracted. They're not going for the base. Well, you really would think they would. But the base itself is going to go down. Harstem, again, very willing to chop off his head so the rest of him can survive. And so far, it's working as a strategy. He gets to the other side of the map with the charge lots, finding drone kills and tying up the reinforcements. In fact, he actually beat the reinforcements. And there's not enough Roach Hydra to contest the charge lots. Harstem has another base. As long as he has one base, he says that'll be enough. There's the feedbacks. Uses the cloak, and he can't see anything, which means he can't shoot anything. The cloaked Protoss army will chase down the lurkers with no and again, the pathing. Oh, DRG. The lurkers are forced back. Harstem went for the oldest trick in the book. Just takes out the Overseers and leaves DRG with no options to fight back. The lurker count down to 3. Immortals bashing their way forward. Now finally the fight is taken to DRG's side of the map. And now DRG has very little with which to deal with the Armada. Just the mothership. GG. Harstem's counterattack is absolutely deadly. And another comfortable victory. Despite how much pressure DRG was putting on, it really feels like Harstem has the better end of the story. Which brings us to our anti-spoiler bonus game, which I have it on good authority. It's a bit more of a dynamic back and forth. But we have DRG versus Nightmare. His Korean... I kind of wanted to get a comparison of European Protoss versus Zerg versus Korean Protoss versus Zerg. Which Nightmare, I think, is the smartest Protoss player out there right now. It's just his hands betray him sometimes. We can all empathize with that. Like, sometimes people forget they haven't yet liked and subscribed. And that's a shame, but it's okay. There's always someone here to remind you. And that brings us into our match of DRG, again, versus Nightmare. I'm sure Nightmare will have a... Well, wouldn't be the least bit surprising to see the Stargate. But Harstem outclassed DRG in both games. It was close. Like, well, maybe not outclassed, but had a significant edge as the game went on. A little surprised DRG didn't try any early all-in or something like that in Game 2 to catch Harstem off guard, because most of the time when I see players like Harstem, and Harstem himself, it's when he gets caught by just a timing he's not quite prepared for, because a lot of pieces have to come together in order to make that Protoss army work. But once you put the whole Lego set together, you see what you're going for by the end. I think DRG... How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? At some point, you gotta buckle down for the late game. Or at least focus more on getting lurkers with their hive tech upgrades in a timely manner. That was another game where Adrenal Glands was like the first hive tech upgrade he invested in. Unfortunately, the times of mass Zergling have largely, not entirely, but largely passed us by. in favor of a more spellcaster-focused metagame. And that's because players are too good now. Very simply. Even if there weren't really any balance changes. Players are always getting better and are consistently capable of setting up their bases in a way that makes it almost impossible for Zerglings to find much success. They're going to be able to cast Storm and blink their Stalkers. The Oracles will be keeping tabs on absolutely everything. So, the era of mass Zergling sometimes just winning the game is almost entirely past. Though Dark may have some disputes to that statement. +1 melee. DRG says, joke's on you. Wow. As I say it, he's going for +1 melee mass Zergling. Because of course he is. Shady Bunch heads in towards the natural. Looking for that little tucked in area behind the natural mineral line, where the depths can be particularly annoying. Robo behind. It's interesting to see. We didn't see Harstem go for the Shady Bunch build here at all. This style of sending 3 to 5 adepts out with your oracles, kind of a pre-stalker timing in order to keep the Zerg honest. I think it's medium risk, medium reward, just like the oracles themselves, where it's a little risky to dart in and get the drone kills and constantly try to scout, but keeping tabs on the tech, the drone count itself, the positioning of the units is very much worth it as well. Back at home, Nightmare, 60 to 60 workers. The adepts are surrounded. Oracle sides back, but the Queen saying, no! No! Not today! Oracle's driven away, and a lot of the adepts will die. And now we see a major split from the European. I don't know if I can attribute Harstem to being... Well, Harstem is one of the top European Protoss, especially ones that show up to LAN tournaments. So. But a Robo Bay is the splash damage choice, not the Templar Archives, to start things off. I'm not sure if this was prompted by the sheer amount of the Lings. Now, is it the Colossus flavor? I think so. I don't think you just go disruptive. Adding in 1 to 3 Colossi in order to kind of clear the wheat from the chaff, with the wheat being the roaches and the chaff being Zergling. Doesn't really matter. Anyways, they clear up the Lings and then allow you to deal more easily with the roaches, with whatever army you have behind. Colossi have kind of slipped their way back into the meta, especially with some fancy prism juggling. That's another example of what the players have gotten so good. The Zerg players have gotten so good, yet Protoss still haven't figured out how to build a door. And now the Queens, the Warp Prism, get off my map! And now the Zerglings are in the main. DRG slips in with the Lings, and Nightmare is coming undone. It's a disaster. He gets the pylon, with it the battery and the cannon. The oracles light up, but they don't quite have enough energy. DRG now getting an infestation pit in +2. He's gonna kill all these pros. He's got 5 bases. He's got plenty of Lings to spare. And Nightmare, well, this game becoming a little bit of himself for him right now. Colossus comes out, but doesn't want to be here at all. The Roach is knocked away. $11 drones behind it. Nightmare already knocked down to 55. +2 melee about to complete for DRG. A successful attack, though not a game-ending one. So that puts them in a greater lead than we ever saw against Harstem. But, not... Okay. The Zerglings thought they might be able to take them down by the ankles, but not quite. That's another thing. I assume Harstem had a... Yeah, he definitely had a Warp Prism with his army. He didn't lose it to random queens on the map. But another benefit of the Templar style is you can, in a pinch, make Archons early. The Colossi cannot fight on their own. Even that, you could see DRG. If it was just one Colossus, he would have gone for it with the Zerglings. So, they need to have some support. Like, with a center of gravity that precariously high, it doesn't take much to knock him over. So, Disruptor's behind. But DRG, about to finish up his hive, has 79 drones. He's denied the 4th base. And the Carapace upgrade on the way as well. Dodges back. Good snipe on the Ravager. The 3 Oracles still finding a lot of damage. Sorry, I was zoning out thinking more. I really want to... We got to do a bit more of a dive into Harstem strategy as well. I'm still distracted by those games, even while this game's heating up. Super interesting. The fact that it was so one-sided doesn't matter. I haven't really seen anyone go Tempest Immortal like that. Just carving up the army. He's got the Tempest as the spear, and the Immortals as the shield. Oh. Well, something a little bit less decisive, but still dangerous for Nightmare. He's got the Stalkers, curves a Disruptor shot around the corner, doesn't find anything, and the Zerglings from the back! Oh, that one's gonna find a connection. Big hits from the Ruptors, but doesn't matter. The Zerg are over everything, juggling the Colossi into the Prism. Corrosive Bile hits the Colossus and the Prism alike. Dies in the fire of bile. The Oracles, the real MVP still. DRG manages to lose the whole army, but he takes out the key components. He takes out the Ruptors. He takes out the Warp Prism. The Oracles, though, 7 kills, 15 kills. The Oracles continually adding damage to these fights, I think is what's keeping Nightmare going. Here come the Queens yet again. DRG lost a base, but he's got another. And he's got 2 in production right now. The Ravagers, well, no Ravagers left, means that the Roaches are easily targeted. He needs Zerglings in front. He's got Adrenal Glands done, of course. The Vipers are out. Blinding Cloud could turn a fight quite quickly here. Even Parasitic Bomb onto the Oracles may be worth it at this stage. But Nightmare keeping the pressure on as his economy is starting to run thin. The main base is mining out. Blinding Cloud works on your own units, but DRG's getting real personal. And get over here! Warp Prism number 3 or 4 is knocked down. Blinding Cloud, no Ravagers, but that keeps the Stalkers from chasing easily, as Protoss has no way to break the force field. He locks out his own Stalkers with the force field. Nightmare keeping the pressure on. But DRG, up! He loses 2 Vipers. So, the fact he got him to cast any spells. The Oracle's still helping out. The Roaches are closing in. There needs to be enough Zerglings. Are the Roaches enough? Alright, the Oracles are still burning through. The Zerglings are just trickling in. Here comes some Banelings for extra flavor. The Roaches are... DRG doesn't care how many units he loses, as long as he can build more of them. He's still going, chasing across the map. Zerglings and Stalkers flying every which way. Roaches and Banelings are crashing in, and DRG runs the risk of maybe going too far with this. He realizes as he runs into the shield battery with overcharge. But +3 melee attack is about to complete for his beloved Zerglings. And here they go again. Well, Nightmare's holding. The Oracles are out of energy. What a duel here. The Zerglings just rallied across Nightmare's long-distance mining. He doesn't have the economy to sustain this. He's just running out of minerals. I think in the war of attrition. DRG, that's Warp Prism number 4. Come on down. Let's hope this one goes a little better for him. But the Zerglings that were counterattacking found no base and now are in a perfect position to flank the Stalkers. The Oracles who've survived throughout all this, the Stalkers have nowhere to run. They have to teleport out, but the Zerglings are already there to rip them down. So anxiously and enthusiastically chasing down those Stalkers. And the Roach Zergling. He's getting into melee range with the Roaches. So they use their claws instead of their fancy acid spit. He's stunner stepping them. And Nightmare has to tap it out. DRG showing how to pick apart a Protoss that relies on those robo-based power units. Nightmare bringing a decisively different style. And I think it just has more weak points. It can be stronger earlier, the Robo-Bay. You get the Colossus and the Disruptors online. But you can't lose a fight. Whereas Harstem's Templar style is a bit more of a slow burn. Where if you lose momentum, it's going to be hard to get it back. But you have a lot of opportunities to do so. So I think a very interesting split in the styles. And of course, the sample size isn't particularly high. But I'm looking forward to more research, and I hope you are as well. It'd be awesome if you got the means and motivation to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. And if you haven't yet checked out the second channel here on YouTube, yes, on YouTube, it'd be awesome. You can check out Winter Gaming, find it in the description as well for streams and more content and stuff like that. So that'd be cool. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Hope I made your day a little bit better. Thank you for watching. Good luck. Have fun. Stay tuned.